So here we are then, back for some more Aston Martin Road to Glory, and this is the penultimate round of the season, guys. We're getting there now, we're nearly done, and Season 2 is just around the corner with, of course, the big regulation change affecting the aero and the chassis. First things first though, this weekend's race, Brazil, and the final sprint race of the season. If you haven't seen the last episode, go check it out, guys. Link in the top right. As always, if you're going to enjoy this one, leave a like and subscribe. But let's jump into it. First things first, a marketing department event. So, it was a quick interview. The first one was a question, essentially just asking, what other changes this season like, which is basically a nothing question because there has been no changes this season. It's basically a vanilla game. Also, second question asked about my hero, which for me is Michael Schumacher. So Lewis and Seb, unfortunately, mate, you're not in my thought process. Either way, into the weekend's action, we have an extra 160 R&D points, and that is because, of course, last race in Mexico we had a brief ERS failure, which is going to give us a few extra points. I went ahead and you can see spent those points. Also, what we had saved up from the last episode on the chassis upgrade. So right now we've done the aero and we're pretty much nearly there on the chassis. After this, we're only 3 upgrades away from protecting all of them. So we're on target to hopefully protect everything, and dare I say possibly add on some upgrades during the off season. For now though, let's focus on this weekend's action, and we have rain forecast in qualifying. The sprint is dry but overcast. As for performance, we are at the rock bottom part of the table pretty much as Red Bull get back on top, and there is a bit of a gap now to Williams, and other teams around us in the lower part of the midfield. So work to be done in the off season, and hopefully us protecting the upgrades and keeping the work we've done so far will benefit us during the post-season. And I'm really hoping I can squeeze on 1 or 2 upgrades before the season's fully out. That would be ideal. But yeah, either way, into qualifying and not practice because it's a sprint weekend. And you can see here on the icons, I actually saw there was rain forecast in literally 10-15 minutes, which was before what the forecast prediction was. So we got out there straight away, and we're going to try and set a lap. You can see the clouds are already forming, so this is happening pretty quickly, and dare I say the rain is going to arrive earlier than what the game actually forecast. So important to try and get a lap in, and that's exactly what we're doing here right now in Q1. On the exit though, however, we go for a spin, and that's going to put an early end to that first push lap. We got the car turned around, recharged the battery, and we're going to go again for a second push. This is the exact same run, literally 30 seconds after, and we're going to see if we can try and improve. Straight away in sector 1 we're a 10th up nearly, so a good start to the lap, as I know there was time to find. Into sector 2 now, braking just before the 50 for turn number 4.
We've only got 2 laps of fuel left.
Not too bad through there, lost a little bit of time, but for the most part we're improving slightly. Into the double rights, looking to try and find a bit of time here as we now open up the right hand hairpin. A little bit too late on the brakes, missed the apex there, which wasn't ideal, and now heading through the long left where we spun on the exit last time. Again, we have a moment on the power, luckily keeping it under control, and now we're going to try and close out the lap as we make our way through sector 2 into sector 3. A bit of a moment again there on the back end as we're 4.5 tenths down on Zhou Guanyu, which is a bit of a red flag, a bit of a concern. And that means rain's pretty much imminent, which is weird because there is still a bit of sunlight, but it could be a quick turnover. Either way, across the line, and we're last, and by quite some margin in the low 1 minute 8s. Really not great. Anyway, I went for a cool down lap, and we're going to go for 1 more push. I feel like there's not enough time to kind of box, get another set of tires on and go back out, so I'm going to try and squeeze 1 more lap out. I've got just enough fuel in the car to try and do this, so we're going to give it everything here and leave no stone unturned. Through turn 1, now through turn 2 though, yeah, bit too much, just trying to overdrive, and that is going to be it, because after that it got fully cloudy, the rain arrived, and yeah, this was kind of the last screenshot I took of the results, because after this I accidentally skipped through the results as my select on my proceed button, my X button, whatever you want to call it, got stuck, so it double clicked, so I didn't get a screenshot of the results. But this is the last one I got most accurate to the time, and yeah, you can see we're pretty much not even in the same postcode as the rest of the AI. So we're a bit off the pace around here, and that has been historically the case at this track. Nonetheless, after qualifying, we then kept on with kind of weekend program, as it is a sprint. So practice 2 was on Saturday morning, and we took care of the race strategy program, and that went pretty well, to be fair. Car worked well, able to get it done without using any battery, which is always a good sign. And in terms of our pace, it seemed okay relative to the programs, but not compared to the AI. They seem to be very strong here. So yeah, not exactly the best scenario this weekend. We got a big bunch of points, but yeah, practice done, qualifying done. We're now going to move into the first of the 2 races, and we're going to kick things off with the sprint starting from last place.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Sainz, Sergio Perez, and Hamilton. Fernando Alonso, Ricciardo, Ocon, and Lando Norris. Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen, and Tsunoda. Bottas, Albon, Guan Yu Zhou, and Nicholas Latifi. Stroll, and Martinez. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Here we go then. Time for part 1 of the race weekend. Sprint race. And then the main event after this. Not a great start, I won't lie. Let's see if we can have a look into turn 1 up the inside here. Now we'll be on the outside line through 2, which will be no problem for us as we get past Lance. Let's see if there's any more places up for grabs as we race down to turn 4. Lance fighting back. Cars ahead, just weaving all over the place, trying to be careful here. Going to give Lance a squeeze on the exit. Not going to let him try to go side by side. Now we're going to see a bit of chaos, I think, as the AI kind of are all going to pile up here and check up. So we'll get an opportunity to slide one on the brakes. End plate off there for, I think that looks like an AlphaTauri end plate, but I could be wrong. Could be Tsunoda, to be fair. Going to slide one up the inside of Bottas. And if Tsunoda is the one with damage, then we're looking at P15. I can see from here, his front left end plate's missing, so let's go ahead and pick this one up. I think Magnussen may have damage as well, can't tell, but I know Tsunoda, I think, is missing an end plate. And yeah, they both pit, as I could tell, just from looking at their car. You can see the front left end plate missing, so P14, 6 places gained, and we've got more action ahead, so the sprint race kicking off in full effect, as you'd expect a sprint race to go.
Yellow flag.
Yellow flag ahead, early breakdown by the looks of it. And it's Perez getting an illegal overtake on Schumacher there. I thought I could have
To give that place back, I'm afraid that was an illegal overtake.
thought I could have got that move done, but Schumacher's got
Okay, clear.
damage, so I want to try and be careful here as we slide up the inside. And just like that, P12 in just over a lap. What a crazy start to the sprint. This gets us in a great position for the race. Let's see if I can just get within a second here of Albon and get DRS. Very important to try and stay close. So there's no longer is a battle for P8, as McLaren, who was battling with Ocon, has completely disappeared. So we're battling for P9. Of course, no points scored for 9th place in a sprint. Only the top 8 score points. So for now, we're just kind of hanging in there. I don't know if we'll get to the front of this train. I don't really have that much pace. I'm thankful that I'm following Albon, who's probably a slowish car like myself, and we're just basically sitting in the DRS. Zhou is way quicker than us behind, but it's working okay, this kind of structure, and we're able to stay afloat. I'll see if I can maybe get a bit closer in the last 2 laps, but I probably would take this P12 for the race, to be honest, but we'll see if we can maybe nab a place or 2 before the race ends. Of course, the more the better, as of course grid penalties will come into effect for the main event, so we could stay even higher. So we'll just try and time this and be a bit tactical with it.
Information on Ocon. They seem to have an issue.
Okay, this could be interesting. That could present the opportunity to look for a pass. He's going to have issues heading into sector 2, which will make everyone extremely slow. So let's see if we can go for the pass. It does seem like Ocon's off pace compared to those he should be battling with, which tells me maybe he's running a used power unit. Having a bit of a look there around the outside of Albon. Not quite able to go through, but Ocon clearly forcing everyone to go slow here, so we're going to see some action. And I'm sure Gasly will go for the move this time around, so here we go. Going to have to get the battery at the ready and be aggressive at the same time and at the right time, more importantly. Everyone's going to concertina up and bunch up. We've got plenty of charge for the right time. There goes Pierre on Esteban. Will Albon get in the dance? Not quite. Ocon, Gasly side by side. We're going to go around the outside of Albon there as we have a huge moment though. Whew, that was a nice save, but that could be a costly error. We'll try to box Zhou in. Isn't going to work though. Oh, nowhere to go there either. That's annoying. Albon fights back on Zhou though. Look at the speed of the Williams. As we head through the double rights. This roadblock is really not ideal right now. Isn't the widest of circuits, so I can't exactly just find a space. Pierre Gasly is going to vanish. He's timed that move beautifully, so the best we can hope for is a top 10 finish. He's still going at it. Maybe, just maybe. Oh no, never mind. Had to brake again there, lose all momentum. This isn't over yet though. Albon back for more. And so are we. Nope, I'm not making that 3 wide. I'm trying to find a space. But these guys are making the track so damn narrow. Ocon's got issues and we somehow can't benefit. It's the last lap of the race now, so got to try and find something here. And there we go. Managed to force Zhou off wide enough. Trying to get Albon out, which won't be easy. But we may get an opportunity with Ocon struggling still.
Less than 1 lap of fuel left now. The tank's pretty much empty.
Ocon might just hold on here. Oh, that's a costly moment. Costly error. Ocon's going to hold on. Maybe not. Albon might actually just get him here. Albon's out of battery. It's going to be close, but Albon's going to get it.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Welcome to where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner, and just 1 year later, Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's time then for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. It's an unusual anti-clockwise race here at Interlagos, where the Sao Paulo locals are packed into the grandstands at each of the 15 corners around this classic 2.7-mile circuit. 2 very fast sections bookend the famous and highly technical Sector 2, where getting a good run out of Yung Cao into one of the 2 DRS zones will be key to any overtaking prospects today. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly and Ricciardo, Martinez, Leclerc. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Norris and Nicholas Latifi, Bottas, Ocon, Lance Stroll and Zhou. They've taken a grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Hamilton, Alex Albon and Kevin Magnussen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda and Sergio Perez completes our grid. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
So in the end, that race finish pretty much meant nothing as both cars got penalties. So we're starting from 7th place. This is great. This is really, really good and also critical because we can actually almost wrap up that P6 if we get enough points. There is one issue. If you watch the grid rundown, directly ahead of us is Pierre Gasly. So there is one objective in this race, and that is to beat Pierre. We have to get ahead of him and outscore him. I think if we do that today, I am pretty confident, barring disaster in Abu Dhabi, we should hopefully score that P6 in the constructors and also wrap up P11 in the drivers. With that said, strategy, medium to hard, pretty simple one stop, no big dramas or no big surprises. Fuel wise, we go for 0.5 extra. Race set up exactly the same as the sprint as it worked pretty fine. Pace is not great, but we're relying on DRS. So if I can basically follow Pierre, that wouldn't be a bad strat, and basically stab him in the back later on after 35 laps of following him and then get him on the last lap and finish ahead of him. That's kind of the ideal race scenario. So yeah guys, let's get into it. Leave a like if you're going to enjoy, and let's get this show on the road. So full disclaimer, before we jump into it, the race isn't as smooth as it should be. Turns out, once I finished all of my recording and I backed out to the main menu, I realised for some reason my actual gameplay recording had stopped, which means I've got no footage. It's a weird one. Normally, when recording stops, I get a notification on my screen which tells me it stopped, but it wasn't the case. And the little icon that I have that tells me I'm recording is so small that I don't notice it if it's on or off, so I need a notification to let me know if I'm recording or not. And because it just kind of stopped randomly without me knowing, I've done the whole race without recording. Luckily, we have the power of the race replays, and even though that race was gone, I always save my full race replays, and for that reason I have somewhat footage of what happened in the race for you guys to enjoy. It's not going to be fully detailed with deltas and stuff, but it's the best I can do, so apologies, but hopefully you still enjoy it. Here we go then, part 2 of the weekend. Let's get into it. Let's try and deliver. Lights sound, away we go. Oh, it's not a great start. Into turn 1, we're 3 wide here. Got to be mindful of an end plate as we try to avoid contact. Gasly there gets kind of spat a bit wide, and that's going to give us a chance to have a look. This is potentially a good chance to go for the pass. I'm going to try and stab one around the outside. Nowhere near enough grip, and actually Ocon gets ahead, and now Hamilton looking for the move, so that didn't really work out according to plan. Trying to go around the outside of Esteban there, but that kind of backfired a bit. Anyway, not an absolute disaster. Lost a few places, but granted, I kind of expected that, especially so faster cars such as Leclerc. We'll see realistically how long we can keep Norris and Hamilton behind. They're going to be so much quicker, which will drop us out the points. So to be fair, this race could quickly just become a battle for a single point, and essentially, like before, try and beat Pierre Gasly. For now though, we've got to try and keep the pace on and use the battery in the first 2 laps, which is what the AI are going to do. You see, once we get to VMAX, we actually pull away a little bit, which is good. But yeah, I might tactically let Lando and maybe eventually Hamilton through. I feel like they're just way quicker. So that might be now. Lando seems very quick. I'll hold on for a bit longer, and we'll see if we can make it worth it. Okay, I'm out of DRS. And I don't have the battery to fight, so we'll just let Lando crack on naturally without essentially hindering ourselves. Here comes Lewis as well, flying by. Not going to affect us one bit. And now we should be able to keep Latifi at bay and potentially out of DRS range, so let's try and stick with these two. And try and also recharge the battery if we can. Right then, let's box and get the pit stop out of the way. We will not use any battery. We'll try and save a little bit in this pit stop phase. Gasly in, hopefully he gets held a little bit, loses a bit of time or drops to the back of the queue. Essentially at this point, we can't hope for anything except for Pierre scoring the least amount of points possible, which in this case would be a single point in P10. Anyway, here we go. Gasly has been held, he's behind Hamilton, which is great. So that's exactly what we want to see. Slight delay there, got held by Bottas a slight bit, but that's okay for the most part. That was a pretty good stop. To be fair, I'll give Aston a lot of credit. They've been excellent with the pit stops this season. We're going to be ahead of Checo, who is going to the end, by the way. So he wouldn't be a bad car to follow, in all fairness. He must have again, but still, he won't be a bad car to follow. Okay, tyres nicely warmed up. Now we'll let Checo through, and basically we'll now try to follow him. We've got a full charge to deploy to hopefully keep up with him, which won't be easy, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, we'll get DRS in this straight, we'll get DRS in the next one. Let's see where Latifi is. And there he is, leaving the pit exit right now, so we'll still be ahead of Latifi, to be fair. We've got a nice warm tyre now, so we can try to extend our gap. We've probably lost a little bit in the pit stop phase, but hopefully Checo can do the rest and drag us along here. I do wonder if maybe K-Mag's going to the end on the hard tyre. Same as Checo. If that's the case, we're going to have to try and fight. But there is a P10 on the table. Let's see though. Checo, I've got no doubts, will pass Gasly here. The Red Bull's got a way better straight line speed. And then he'll probably gobble up Magnussen, so here we go. Side by side, these two going at it. I'm still not convinced if Pierre has damage. Oh, that's a costly one. That's a really costly one. Oh. They're still going side by side. We might actually get back in here. The damage is manageable. Could be me versus Pierre in terms of damaged cars. Pierre runs it in super wide there. And I'm going to try and have a look here. We've got a run, so I'm going to go for it. Checo's probably going to vanish, but you know what? I'm taking that opportunity. Let's see if I can hold on to Checo here. Magnussen has disappeared. So Verstappen wins the race. And Checo has not overtaken Magnussen, which is bad news. So K-Mag is going to score a couple of points today. And that is going to make the decider. Very interesting. Crucially though, Gasly does not score, so yeah. Not ideal, man. A scruffy weekend. Could have maybe got a couple of points, but hey ho, it is what it is. In the Constructors, still P6, but equal on points with Haas. We're higher on countback due to better results. It's going to go down to the wire, guys. Hopefully you tune in and look forward to it. Leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, guys. Subscribe for more daily F1 content on the channel. As always, a big shout out to the members. Check out the 2 videos on screen if you haven't seen them already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.